What do we call it when I give you the data in this way? It's sorted, S-O-R-T-E-D. So I did that intentionally because whoever told me how to do the median, thank you, because you said it perfectly. You said find, wait, yeah. Natasha, right? She said find the central value when they're listed in order, and that was key. You have to have them in order. You can't just take any middle value when they're in any order at all. But what do we call when we have it all in front of us like that? Do you remember how I call it a 3-letter word? That's it, raw data. I call it raw data. And it's awesome to have raw data because then you can do anything with it, basically. You can choose what to do. What am I going to do? Am I going to make a histogram? Am I going to do a distribution? Am I going to find the average of the raw data? It's great. The downside, of course, is that very often you don't get the raw data. I've been waiting for raw data from a guy. You ever heard of power bracelets? Or energy bracelets? I forget exactly what they're called. Power energy bracelets. These things, it's this thing you wear on your wrists. And apparently it's got something in it that makes you like perform better athletically, I think, or maybe cognitively or both. And there's a great YouTube video. It went viral, slightly viral, about 1.5 years, 2 years ago. There's this trainer, really ripped dude, and he's like, I'm going to show you why an energy bracelet is amazing. He's got these assistants with him, like jumping around like this. And he's like, you jump, and this guy like does this standing long jump. And then he's like, aha, and now, and he slaps his energy bracelet on the guy. He goes, jump again! And the guy jumps like 3 feet further. And he's like, and you see? And I'm like, I saw something. So what I saw was you yelled at him more and he jumped further. I was afraid of you. I've been waiting, a guy actually tested it. He tested energy bracelets in a controlled statistical way. And if I could afford them myself, I'd do it with you guys. Because what he did was, he bought a bunch of them. And then he had a bunch of them made, placebos made. That looked exactly like the real things, but they had, whatever the component of an energy bracelet is, he left it out and put in something just like it. And then, he did one better than that, because the other part of the problem with that first experiment was that it wasn't an experiment, but he made the guy jump without it first, and then he made the guy jump with it. So the guy that was jumping knew he had this thing on his wrist that was going to make him jump further. Sorry for the quote marks, it's kind of annoying, I know. So then the study was, there's an implementer in the study putting the bracelets on the people, but they have no idea what they have in their hand. There's a person behind a curtain, though, flipping a coin, deciding which bracelet goes on first, though, right? So the person behind the curtain goes, heads, give him this one. Now the person giving the bracelet knows what they just handed to the implementer, or knows what it's called a double-blind study in that respect. So they walk out, put a bracelet on the person jumps. Then, they might jump 5 or 6 times to get an average, maybe to kind of smooth out the bumps. Then they get the next bracelet. And they might not even know when the bracelet switched over. But the researcher behind the curtain that you're not seeing is collecting all this data. And guess what the conclusion was about the energy bracelet? It doesn't do anything. And I've begged for the raw data. The guy's like, you can have my data as soon as I publish my report. And I'm like, that's fair. Because if I was a bastard, I could take his data and publish it myself. I'm not a bastard, but that's okay. So anyway, I want that data. But here's the problem. You're not going to get it. Richie, go.
What about acupuncture?
What about it? Works for me.
What is it? Bracelet thing?
Oh, acupuncture, as far as I know, has never had any published articles either way that show its effectiveness or its ineffectiveness. That's where it lies for me, and it clears my sinuses when I have allergies. So that's where it really lies for me. So I got nothing statistical to talk about. Unfortunately, I got anecdotal evidence is all I got for that one. Thank you, friend. Now here's the problem. Here's the problem. That's raw data. We're still recording it. We are. Very often you won't get that. You'll get this. Here. Very often you will not get the raw data result. Sometimes you don't want it. I mean, if you're looking at an FDA study for side effects of a medication, that might have 40,000 trials, or 40,000 subjects in a trial. You don't want 40,000. Well, maybe you do. I mean, with Excel, it's easy to deal with. But very often, this is what you're going to get. This is what you're going to get. Okay? Can we derive anything from this? I'm going to do, see where that, oh, this is perfect. Can I take this off the board? Is that okay? I'm going to remove this and leave the graph on the board. That's perfect. Can we pull? Now, the answer might be yes, but it won't be as exact. But can we pull the 3 measures of center out of this graph? Can we pull? Okay?
Yeah.
Any concerns with doing that?
You don't know the actual values.
The actual values have been lost. As Jacob just pointed out, this histogram is broken up 0 to 2. there are, looks like 13 elements in that bar. But I have no idea how many are zeros, how many are ones, or how many are twos. Because remember, that raw data is now gone. You don't see that anymore. You get this. This is the number of keys we had in the 1015 class.
Median or mode.
Say that again, say that again.
You wouldn't be able to do median or mode.
Not to the exact nature that we could with the raw data. I love that, Lauren. But we can pull all three off of this with some concessions. And let's make those concessions and see what happens. Okay? We're going to lose the mode for sure. Well, first of all, where's the modal value on this graph?
In the 3 to 5.
Beautiful, thank you, Carolyn. The modal value, by definition of what you guys are calling mode, is the most frequently occurring data point. Well, the problem is, the most frequently occurring data point is clearly the largest bar. So the largest bar at 15 is this. But what is that? And this is one of the concessions you have to make. Instead of calling it 3 to 5, just call it 4. You have to pick a value that represents the center. So why would you pick 4? But why not pick 3 or 5?
It's the average.
Well, why pick the average in this case? I love your answers. It's between 3 and 5. It's the average. Why not pick the 3 or the 5?
You can't go too low and you can't go too high.
That's a good answer. That's a good answer. If we pick 3, and if we pick 0, and if we pick 6, and if we pick 9, on average, we're going to underestimate the values in the bar. Conversely, if we pick 2, 5, 8, and 11, we're going to overestimate the values in that bar, yeah? So here's what you need to think about when you're thinking about this data. Why? Why is it that you're going to overestimate if you call it 9, or 11, 8, 5, and 2? Why would you be overestimating in that case? Why? What does that assume? What assumption are you making if, by picking the ends, you're overestimating?
You don't have any zeros and ones.
Say that again.
You don't have any zeros and ones.
When you say that, when you say you're overestimating, you're making the assumption that essentially the data is spread evenly through the bars. And here's the beauty. On average, it is. On average, it is. On average, the data is going to be spread 0s, 1s, and 2s, 3s, 4s, and 5s, 6s, 7s, and 8s, and so forth, and so on, and so forth, and so on. On average, you don't get bars when it goes 0 to 2 that are all 2s. Now, you have a bit of an exception in yours, and most of yours are 2. But if you look back at the raw data, the other bars are going to counter that and come on the small side versus the big side. I encourage you not to believe that. We'll come back to it on Thursday, I promise you. I've got an Excel simulation that'll show you why it's valid to assume that. So what we're going to do is we're going to call this one 1, because for every 0, that 0 is going to be offset by a 2. So essentially, the 0 and the 2 combine to have 1 each, which gives you the same sum total. Over time, I encourage you not to believe this. I'm going to let you chew on it for the next couple of days while you're between classes with me, and we'll come back to an Excel simulation that hopefully will prove it to you, or at least remove some of the doubt and some of the disbelief. 6 to 8, we're going to call 7. 9 to 11, we're going to call 10, and I think that might be goofed because we didn't have any 9s, did we? We must have something wrong in this image. No, what the hell? Just leave it. It's fine. We'll call that a 10. Yeah, I think we went to 2 8s, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which makes me, hang on a second, let me fix it real quick. Now, let's not ignore it. Let's fix it real quick. Let me look back at my raw data. Let's see, later grouped, there it is, 9 to 11. Later raw. Oh, there was a 9, Shazza. I just forgot to copy it. Oh, there it is, what the hell?
There's still an even number though.
That's weird. How is it different? Do you guys have the raw data written down?
No.
Did anybody write it down? Okay, let me. You know what? Don't worry about it. Let's just pretend it wasn't there.
There's one extra 3 on that.
There's one. And I must have just forgotten to copy this last column here. So let's just do this. Let's just do this. Let me get rid of. Let me just do this. Let's just make the graph match. And then this is gonna be 14. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah, it'll be 14. And let me copy this graph into the. I'll make it match the raw data that we had. And my apologies for goofing that up. There. We'll work with this one. There we go. Let me make it kind of match this. So let's make it open. There. Now we're there. Cool. There. Now we match our raw data. Okay. Now based on that, can we pull the mode off now? Well, essentially, yes. We can pull the mode off, yes? What would the mode be?
4.
You'd essentially call it 4, wouldn't you? If everybody says it's 3 to 5, that's okay as well. But from the group data, I would call the mode 4. Some statisticians will say it's bimodal. I say don't worry about that. Just find the one that's the most and call that the mode. So let's make a little laundry list here. So let's do raw versus grouped. So I'm calling this grouped because we've now taken the data and crunched it into a distribution. So it's now a frequency distribution. We've lost that raw data looseness that we had. We had every single data point. I've now grouped them together. So as far as an average and a median and a mode, we'll do a little compare and contrast here. The mode of your raw data was 2. The mode of your group data was 4. So we did lose something there. We lost something there. We're actually in the wrong bar, aren't we? And that's one of the problems with group data. Sometimes you will lose that, which is okay. Some people, however, will say that the raw data mode of 2 was a little bit silly to look at anyway. It just so happened, there just happened to be 7 or 6 2s, whatever it was. There were a whole buttload of 4s, and a whole buttload of 0s, and a whole buttload of these. The mode can be weird. I try to only use the mode when I have qualitative data because of that, because sometimes it doesn't shake hands very well with the other 2 quantitatively. But anyway, the median and the average. The average was 3.3, and the median was 3. Which one of those do you want to try to find? Let's try to find one more, and we'll save the third for Thursday. Want to try to find another one? If you have, let me ask you a better way. If you had to find one of the other, the average or the median, which one would you go for next?
The average.
The average. Tell me how we go for it, Lauren. Go.
We have to add it all up.
You would, wouldn't you? But how do you add it all up? You don't know what it is.
Use those middle numbers.
How? Love it.
Have the 13 ones, the 14 4s, and the
Good.
however.
I'll tell you what. Let's hold that one for. I'm looking at the clock. Let's hold that one. I want to do it I want to do it out very carefully. Chart it. Can we hold that for Thursday and go for the median instead? Because the median doesn't require a chart. The median we can actually do very argumentatively, kind of just with the graph in front of us. How can we pull the median from this? Do you think? How could the median be pulled from this? Doesn't require a formula. What do you think, Rebecca?
It's lined up already.
It is already lined up from least to greatest.
So it's 4.
Oh, good. Now, suppose, that's a perfect answer. I love that, by the way. Suppose, let's get it away. It's a very simple data set because you've got boom and boom and boom. So what you're saying is throw this off and throw this off and that's what's left. Ish. I want you to be careful about that. What happened in the other class, let me tell you why. Here's what happened with the other class. That was their key data. Okay? So the problem with that was the other class said the median was 7. Because they said, drop these 2 bars and drop those 2 bars. And the bar that's left centers on 7, just like yours did, right? The problem with that is what?
It's not really the same.
They threw away 20 keys on this side and only 3 keys on this side.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure you're throwing out the correct number, top and bottom, as you go. Now, it doesn't matter. With yours, it's so symmetric that it doesn't matter. But if you have asymmetric data like this one, it can matter. So may I offer a similar but a little more careful approach? Let's chop. Let's chop. What are these individual key numbers? Well, let's get rid of them all. Because how many of them are there?
5.
Looks like there's 5 of them, yes? So chop, 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 chop. Those are gone. As are the smallest ones over here. So chop 5 off of them. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, 5 gone, top and bottom. Top, bottom, 5 gone. I don't know which ones I just chopped, but the bottom 5 are gone now. How many left? How many do I have left in here? There's 8 left. Get rid of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That entire bar is now gone. But now I also have to chop 8 of the next biggest ones, yeah? So take 8 off. It doesn't matter where you chop them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now, how many are left in that bar? 8 through 14 would be 6, right? Remember, I had to adjust it. Sorry, I had to adjust it because I had the data wrong. So 8 through 14, there's 6 left. So there are 6 data values left in this bar. I can keep chopping, but there's really no need to keep chopping. Because what are we going to call all 8 of those data values in that bar? We're calling them all 4s, aren't we? So there's really no need to chop because you know whatever's left is going to be a 4. So as far as a grouped meeting, you're gonna call that group median 4. Which of course is off a smidge from what the actual raw data median is, yeah? But then again, that is a sacrifice that you kind of make. We'll deal with the average next time because it doesn't take more than 10 minutes to kind of explain well. Sarah, what's on your mind? You don't feel troubled by that, or is it okay? Oh, you're actually okay with it? Okay, good. Good. That's all for today, huh? We're going to get brains before we get the hell out of here. If you want to start looking ahead at the center homework, I'm going to post a quiz for you guys for next week. I've got a whole bunch of central tendency quizzes. I'm going to post a whole bunch of them over the course of the next couple weeks. So pick whatever one or ones you want to do. Don't feel the need to do all of them if you don't want to. Do as many as you want, of course. I'll post it sometime tomorrow, and for next week. Get into it, start looking at it, see Rory. Look at it whenever you can. If you want to start looking at the homework, that's fine too. I focus more on that project. Start looking at that, making sure you get that thing, start checking off. I didn't mean to ignore you guys about the average. I was so stoked to start that, and then I look at the clock going, It's all good, we'll get to it next time. Have a good day, you guys.